Yes.
All right. So, hi everyone. Good morning. This is Shobhita. So, I'm a part of Yuvaka Sangha, and I warmly welcome all our audience and our main chief guest, Mrs. Swati Ma'am. So, I would like to introduce Swati Ma'am for this special occasion, like this program. So, she's working in Nimans as a project coordinator of life skills, and she done many life skills training and the trainee program to NSS officer and teaching professionals of the youth volunteers as well, and she also mentors of our Prajna forum. So I would heartily welcome you, ma'am. So I would like Swati ma'am to take over the speech.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right. So are we waiting for some other people to join, or are we continuing with the session?
Ma'am, you can continue with the session because many will be joining simultaneously.
Okay, great. Right. So first of all, good morning to everyone. So before starting the session, I wanted to know how many of you can speak Kannada and English and everything, so that I can continue my session with the language that is preferable. So can you please put in the chat box how many prefer complete English and how many prefer Kannada is also fine. So let me know in the chat box. So quickly, just type if you want to. Okay. Archana Nag has raised her hand. So Archana, you can put it in the chat. Archan Nag. If I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. So it's English. Okay. Kannada artha agutta? Okay. How many of you don't know Kannada at all? ಓಕೆ ನಾಗೇಶ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ಕನ್ನಡ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ನಾಗೇಶ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ? Okay, Nagesh doesn't understand in Kannada at all. Okay. Okay, with both the language, Vidya says yes, I can understand. Okay, both the languages. Thank you so much for the response. Mostly I will speak in English because Nagesh doesn't understand Kannada here. So mostly it will be in English, but in between if I use Kannada, so please adjust with it. Nagesh, Nagesh, if you don't follow it, then that's completely fine. You can ask your doubts in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask the doubts publicly. Okay. Right, so we shall begin the session because we have two important chapters to deal with today. So this session will be more of an interactive session rather than me just talking about relationship dynamics or psychological first aid altogether. So it will be a me talking, you answering, you talking, me listening. So this kind of a session throughout, right? Okay. So let's begin with the question itself. So coming to the relationship dynamics. So what do you think relationships are? So one, you can unmute yourself, or you can always be active on the chat box and just leave me a message saying what relationship do you mean? When I say relationship, what do you mean by that? What do you understand by relationships? So we will be talking about relationships today. So just think about it. What do you understand by relationship? ನಿಮಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ? So until and unless I don't get a reply, I can't move forward. So ನಿಮ್ಮ chat box ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರಿ, so that ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಸೆಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಲ್ವಾ, ಅಥವಾ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ವೇಸ್ಟಾ, ಅಥವಾ is it helping you in any way? I'll get to know that. So be active on chat box and let me know what do you think relationships are. Okay. So I get in the chat box saying it's a bond between individuals. Okay. So it's a bond between individuals, right? Matte, anything else? Okay, let's an understanding, support, and respecting each other. Okay. So it's a relationship is all about understanding each other, supporting each other, and respecting each other is what Anjali says. Okay. So for others, if this question is too much difficult and it's too many things to answer, ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, just let me know how many andajali, okay, on an average, how many relationships do you have in your life? Just a number, a random number, an average number ಆದ್ರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? So I see a lot of responses again. Being connected with people, relationship can be with different groups, very good. It's about family and friends, okay? A friendly or loving connection between people, okay? Okay, so Nishant has answered a friendly or loving connection between people, okay? So I'll pick this up. ಇವಾಗ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, is it just friendly and loving connection? Or just to think about, ಇವಾಗ್ಲೇ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, you have to answer right now ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ. Is it just a friendly or a loving connection between people? If one person doesn't like another person, okay, still do they have a relationship? Just think about it, okay? Just to something to think about, right? Okay, so coming to my next question, how many relationships do you have in your life on an average? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನ್ಸಿದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನರ ಜೊತೆ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Okay, 20 is a number, okay? 20 ಜನರ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, okay? Okay, can you unmute yourself and say options idya? If you can unmute yourself and answer the question, that is also fine. ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು. So just give me a number. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಸಂಬಂಧಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ. Number of relationships you have in your life. So far I have got 20. It's 15 to 20, okay? Anyone else? Andaj number kodi. Just give an average number of how many relationships do you have in your life. Okay, I get that. 15 to 20, which includes friends and family, okay? So when I say how many relationships do you have, the first thought comes to our mind is, okay, is she asking about romantic relationships or the relationships that we talk about in colleges or something like that? So relationship shouldn't, be limited. I am not just limiting it to a romantic relationship or girlfriend boyfriend relationship or something like that. It can be any relationship in your life, even parents and children, even that is considered as relationship, correct? So adannu consider madi. Considering that also, I am asking how many relationships are there in your life, right? So ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ include ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. So remember, I want all of you to be active during this session. So ಹಾಗಾಗಿ, so kindly be active and keep texting or keep replying in chat box or unmute yourself and talk about it, okay? So when I talk about relationships, it just doesn't mean a romantic relationship or the relationship that we have in college only. So the relationship applies to all the relationship in our life. It may be parental relationship, friends, or it's maybe grandparents. It's a neighborhood relationships, anything that for that matter. So relationship includes all the people around us with whom we just have a communication. We just have a eye to eye contact. Anything it may be. It's a bond between, as one of you said, it's a bond between two people. The intensity of the bond could be different. So different relationship, it includes peers or friends, romantic relationships, relationships at school and workplace, family members or siblings, society or neighbors. So youth relationship in particular includes all these different relationships in our life. So why is it important to have relationships, or why is it important to even talk about relationship? Is because it is the foundation for emotional and psychological well-being. So a lot of times ತುಂಬಾ ಸಲ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, there will be times where we are sad, where we are not feeling good about ourselves. So that could be because of the relationship that we have with other people around, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಯಾರೋ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಏನೋ ಅಂದ್ರು, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೋ ಏನೋ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಚೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೋ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನೋ ಅಂದ್ರು. ಸೊ somewhere these small things also can affect our life and affect our emotional and psychological well-being. So it is important to know what kind of a relationship we are in with every people around us, like whoever is around us. Relationship is important as man needs to live and view oneself within the society. As we all know, man is a social being, right? So social being and then he has to be in the society, and the society includes of people. So ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್, that ಸಂಬಂಧನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ relationship becomes important, right? So I have a message in the chat box which says positive relationship can give us a purpose, sense of belonging, care, love, security, learning new things, recognition, validation, fun, support, and you are more aware about the society. Exactly, Gargi. So you become more aware of the society around you. So the more people you meet, the more aware you are about the society. What other people think, what other people come to asking for you, and what other people expect from you. A lot of things you will be knowing only with the help of the relationship with different people. So healthy relationship can be one of the best supports in a man's life, so, woman's life. I meant human being's life. So healthy relationship yake important antandre, as Gargi said, it gives us somewhere, it gives us the support. So when we are alone, when we are not feeling good about ourselves, you might have experienced it also in current days, that your different friends come together, celebrate something, or when other people come to cheer you up, you feel good about yourself, right? So that is how a healthy relationship supports our entire life also. So moving on, so relationships and youth. So when it comes to us, youth or in particular, how relationship affect, let's see that. So period of deep and diverse emotions. Okay, sorry. The deep and diverse emotions are involved. So during our adolescence and young adulthood, what we do is we meet a lot of people, we socialize, we in the adolescent period, we go to college, we meet new people, new friends, and new environment. So we gel along with people, we connect with other people. As we move on, we try to find work, and we get into a job, and there is a new setting altogether. We meet new colleagues, new co-workers, bosses, and subordinates, all the other people around. So as we move on through adolescent and young adulthood, we meet a lot of people, and those people somehow we give them the right to affect us, right? So affect our feelings. We might get hurt sometimes, or we might be happy about them being in your life. So a lot of emotions are experienced through these relationships as well. So necessary part of preparing youth to thrive as healthy, self-sufficient, and successful adults. So healthy agi, self-sufficient agi, successful agi irake, relationships are very, very important in our life. Healthy relationships encourage youth in academic pursuits, workplaces, and attaining family goals. So academic pursuits agirbodu, workplaces agirbodu. So you might have seen this, right? So a lot of friends together do a group study, right? I agree, most of the group studies don't work, but sometimes when you discuss a particular topic in the group study, you tend to memorize it more than when you study alone, because a lot of people put in their thoughts and there will be some jokes about it, there will be some memories attached, so that you remember that one particular topic for a longer duration. So after 2-3 years, you remember, hey, we discussed about that one particular chapter that day before the exam. I remember it so clearly. So a lot of people coming together talking about the same subject help us somehow memorize it for a longer duration, right? Okay. Sudha, can you mute yourself? Okay. Thank
Yes,
you.
madam. Okay. Yeah.
Healthy relationships encourage youth in academic pursuits, workplaces, and academic family goals as well. So it can spur a sense of responsibility, commitment, and engagement as well. So why there is a need to understand relationship is not much of attention is given to understand and teach young adults in managing the relations. So a lot of times what happens, we take a lot of relationship for granted, right? Yeah, my friend, no, she's there with me all the time. Okay. So she's going to be there with me for longer duration, for entire life. I don't need to give her attention, or I don't need to tell her all the things that is happening in my life. So we tend to ignore the person, or we tend to, a lot of these kind of examples happen with our parents, right? So parents keep telling us, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And we tend to ignore them. Yeah, these people keep telling us all the time, don't do this, don't do that. But we need to understand why they do such things, and why do they say such things. Is it for our betterment, or why are they saying it? So if you try to invest a little more in the relationship around us, then maybe we will be better able to manage them in our life, right? So we need to give the attention to each and every relationship that we are having around us, so that we'll be able to manage the same thing later. So when relationships go wrong, it may distract or totally disrupt a young person's plans for succeeding in work, education, and family. So sometimes what happens, so we are unaware of the relationship that we have with the person, significant person. It may be friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, anybody for that matter. So we are not aware of the relationship that we are in exactly. And then when that relationship doesn't go well, it tends to affect our entire life. We are not able to concentrate because he or she is not texting me. We are not able to concentrate in the studies because somehow we fought with each other. So a lot of these chaos lead to a bigger conflicts or bigger problems in our life. So we need to understand what are we getting into before getting into it and just continuing it, following it up with. So we need to understand why we are getting into a relationship, what kind of relationships are we getting into, so that we'll be able to manage it if it goes wrong. Helps in identifying healthy from unhealthy relationship, make wise partner choices, avoid abusive and harmful relationships, learn healthy relationship skills, and improves quality of life. So sometimes what happens, we wouldn't know what is a healthy and unhealthy relationship is. In a lot of unhealthy relationships, what happens is there will be physical abuse, there will be emotional abuse, but still we think that, okay, I think this is how relationship works. This is how parental relationship works. This is how boyfriend girlfriend relationship works. And we tend to accept it and stay in the relationship forever. It is not necessary that a relationship should have a physical or emotional abuse. So we wouldn't know that. So if we don't know that, we tend to continue in the same relationship for many years, getting to getting abused by the other significant other or something like that. So we need to be aware of what a healthy relationship is and what an unhealthy relationship is, so that you can break out of the unhealthy relationship if you are in one. So what are the components of healthy relationship? What exactly are the components? So 4 C's ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, commitment, compromise, contribution and communication. So commitment ಇರಬೇಕು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು relationship ಅಲ್ಲಿ. There should be commitment towards each other, right? So if you are committed to So what are the other components? Mutual trust, respect, support, equality, separate identities, sharing, expressing the emotions, sharing positive events, reciprocity, realistic expectation. So if you don't understand any of the words here, so you can put it in the chat box. I can explain it later, because we all know that these are the important factors in a relationship. So I'll move on with the other important things in relationship that we are not that much aware about. So separate identities in this particular components mean that sometimes in a relationship, what happens? I am for you, you're for me, and that's all it matters. And you start depending on each other, right? So having separate identities, being independent of each other also is required in any relationships. You should also have your identity. He or she also should have her identity. So once you have that particular identity sorted, and mutually you can have that particular relationship which is common to both of you. So if you lose your identity in your own relationship, you start to follow the other person around, and that other person might not like it anyway, right? So it is important to have a particular separate identities. There is a question in chat box saying, what is realistic expectations? Okay, so realistic expectation is see in especially the Bollywood movies or any romantic movies, romantic comedy movies, if you take, they have exaggerated the relationship in such a way that we expect the same from our own life, right? From our own significant other. It's like he also should do something, she also should do something for me, should get a flower, should gode pe aayega, and all the unrealistic things that we have seen in the big screen, that might not be true in the real life all the time, right? There might be people who do that, but every day getting a horse from somewhere all of a sudden is not a realistic expectation. So be realistic in expecting something. So first of all, do you need to expect something from other? Is the first basic question that you need to ask yourself. Expecting from each other will obviously have its own consequences. So if you expect something, that's where the communication comes in, right? So if you expect something, okay, for example, I from my boyfriend or whoever the significant other is, they should come and wish me on my birthday, right? That's the expectation I have. But if the person only doesn't know when the birthday is, how can he or she come and wish me on my birthday? Like common sense, right? So I expect something. If the other person, or if you can't communicate it to the other person what the expectations are, how can you or he or she meet that particular expectation? So please communicate. Like tomorrow is my birthday, or my birthday is on this particular date, right? So communicate that one particular thing to the other person so that they will understand what you are expecting from them, right? So just expecting and having that unrealistic imaginary experiences that will happen to you and everything, and then it doesn't happen, you get disappointed and you break up. So that's not how the relationship works, right? Okay, can you explain the skill point? What is the skills point? Okay, the fourth one, so I'm coming to that. So coming to the qualities: listening, tolerance and acceptance of limitations, non-judgmental, honesty and genuineness. So acceptance of limitations. Sometimes what happens, a lot of time there will be limitations in the relationship, limitation with each individual. for me, I don't earn in crores together or something like that so that I can give you a gold ring or something, right? That's a limitation. I earn in particular money or something like that. So I can't go beyond that. If you expect the other person to go beyond their limitations and do something for you, that's not, again, realistic expectations. So you need to understand each other so that you can move together forward, right? So these are some of the qualities that a person should have to have a healthy relationship. You need to accept the limitation of other person, right? Skills, coming to skills, self-regulation or censoring the expression of thoughts and feelings, problem solving, communication, and assertiveness. So problem solving, communication is all that you already know. So coming to the self-regulation, which means censoring the expression of thoughts and feelings. Sometimes what happens, whatever we think and whatever we feel, we just say it off in front of the person, correct? So before telling it off, it might not also, but it might hurt the other person, right? So that other person never means to hurt you, or, you know, for example, your parents, they say something, they do something that you don't like, right? So in turn, if you just yell at them, "Ninge avan helda madakke, nana helde, ninge avan madad nange," all those things, if you yell at them suddenly, what might they feel? So before expressing your thoughts and feelings, for once, think what that other person might feel about it, right? That's how the censoring comes in. So censoring is, you know, a censor board in the movies. So they cut out the scenes which are not suitable for the movie or the audience, correct? So like that, you need to censor your thoughts and feelings so that you can communicate it in a better way to other people around you, right? I hope I am clear in explaining the skills, Vidya. So if you haven't understood yet, let me know. I can explain you exactly what you want. So just ask me specific questions. So module has three components. So relationship with family, relationship with others, and romantic relationships. And there is one more called as virtual relationship that we are all are in these days. So let's go one by one. Relationship within family. A system that keeps all members. Okay, before going into it, I feel like I'm talking too much here. So let me just get something from you. So what do you think is most important between these three, or include virtual relationship also in this? So among the four of these relationships, what do you think is the most important one? Is it the relationship with family, relationship with others like neighbors, peers, friends, etc., or romantic relationship, or virtual relationship? Which one do you think is the important one, or is there something important? So let me know in the chat box. Think about it for a while. So let me repeat the question. In the screen that you are seeing, among these three plus virtual relationship, which one do you think is important? Is it relationship with family, relationship with others like neighbors, peers, friends, etc.? Is it romantic relationship, or is it virtual relationship? Okay, so I just got one response in the chat box. Thank you so much. Two responses. Okay, so with the family, sometimes others also. Okay, relationship with family and others too. Relationship with family, I think relationship which is real is very important. Virtual relationship doesn't work. Family is important. I feel all the three is equally important. Okay, thank you so much. Relationship, when I ask about importance of a relationship, that means that if you are getting affected by that one particular relationship, for example, it may be with friends or family or romantic relationship, if it is affecting you very, very much, then that particular relationship is very important in your life. right? So yes, when we consider generally relationship with family is very, very important because they will stay with us no matter what. Our parents, our siblings, our cousins, whoever the family is, they will stay with us no matter what, even if we are, black or white, short, tall, whatever it is. They don't just break the bond just because we are something, changed in the relationship with others and romantic relationship or virtual relationship for that matter. So nowadays, what is happening? So family, we stay with the family, but we maintaining that particular relationship every day? But virtually, we are always texting each other. We are always video calling. We are calling that particular friend or anybody for that matter. So is it affecting us too much? So we need to think about that. If it is affecting us very much, too much, then that one particular relationship very, very important for us, and we need to understand why is it affecting us too much. Let's move on. So relationship within the family, a system that keeps all members, big or small, united in love and peace. So we all know about this kind of relationship, hopefully. Manners like respecting elders, speaking in a dignified manner, taking elders' advice, adjusting with others, being considerate, etc. So all these particular traits we learn from our family, right? So that's how we start to behave with others outside our family also. How our family members treat us, that's how we treat the other people in life. So that's why a relationship within family is very, very important. Head of the family takes care of the members and takes decision for the well-being of all the members. This happens most of the times, but as we all grow together, sometimes all of us sit together and make decisions as well. So which one is important is left to you. So they provide a rich ground for intergenerational connect. So grandparents, parents, grandchildren, so all together in a family makes us complete and teaches us a lot of characteristics, attributes that we start developing within ourselves. So that is important. So what helps to adjust in families is understanding and affection. So we need to understand that we are 30 years younger than our parents, right? On an average 30 years younger than our parents, so they are from a different generation altogether. So if you are trying to make them understand why do we use phones so much, maybe the fights at home might reduce, right? So we need to understand and be affectionate towards one another, forgiving. Sometimes in the family a lot of misunderstanding happen, a lot of fight happen, and at the end of the day we all sit together and dinner. But while having dinner, if there is a I am sorry somewhere or the other in between a fight or after the fight, it makes a lot of big difference in the continuing of relationships. Valuing relationships than the bitter experiences. Sometimes we do fight, we say things to each other, but relationships are more important than what we think or what we, say sometimes. So forgetting all those things and continuing with the relationships becomes important. Most social problems in today's world is because of gap in this intergenerational connect. So we need to make sure that we understand each other. So they are also slow in learning mobile. They keep asking us doubts about how to go about this, how to download this particular app, how to, increase the volume, or how to switch off for that matter. So they keep asking us a lot of doubts. We need to be affectionate and understanding of that particular thing. The same way, if we are telling us to stop use of phone again and again, we need to make them understand that yes, we do need phone because of the current situation. So if we make them understand, maybe somehow we uh, have a healthy relationship within family as well. The need for skills training, communication, life skills, problem solving helps in adjusting within the family. Relationship with parents. We need to understand the importance of building a strong relationship with their parents because we stay with them I mean, we need to communicate with in an Indian setting. For example, we communicate with our parents almost every day. ಏನ್ ತಿಂಡಿ ತಿಂದ್ಯಾ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ದ್ಯಾ, ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ಯಾ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ. So somehow in a day, one call will be there to our parents saying, yeah, I have to be in contact with you. So if you are having a contact every day, so we better have a strong relationship with our parents. So parents support children socially, economically, educationally, professionally, religiously, provide unconditional love and support. That's the reason we always go back to our parents saying, ಏನೋ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. So we go back to our home to have that just a feeling of peace or calmness. So let me know if you also agree with this, or if you disagree with it also, we can have a discussion over the same as well. So reasons for problems in parent-teen relationships, it may be because of the family relationship, parenting style, job demands, financial needs of the family, moral, ethical, social, and religious values. It could be because of any particular thing, but we need to make sure that we need to have this bond together strong, and we need to understand them, why they do or why they behave in such a way that they do, right? So understanding them helps. So moving on to the romantic relationship, which is very interesting when we talk about this particular topic. So let's see what it involves, right? So it involves feeling of love, attraction, companionship, intimacy, caring mostly towards opposite sex or significant other. So coming to romantic relationship, during adolescence, people start showing more interest towards opposite sex and develop a romantic or sexual feelings for a special person. So it might sound like, okay, I am in love, or I have to be with this person forever and everything. And after some time, you might not feel the same way, right? So jumping into immediately a relationship and commitment with each other may not sound very suitable when it comes to romantic relationships. So we need to give some time. We need to give time and patience to understand the other person, see if he or she can understand me back and accept the way that I am. So if that is so, then I can commit towards this person. So you can commit to each other and get married or whatever you want to decide. So you can follow up with that. But just because of that tingling sensation or tingling feeling that you have, you get into the relationship and then realize that, oh no, this is not what I wanted. So before all that happens, so it's better to think about it and get into that particular relationship. So often having extensive power to influence the choices young people make for themselves, either positive or negative. So what happens without giving time, without understanding each other, if you get into the romantic relationship, there is a big chance that the other person can influence you, whether it may be positive or negative, and you get influenced by person also, because you're in that aura or the feeling that, yeah, this is the one for me. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person. So in that feeling, in that halo image, so we forget our own self. So that's why I said having separate identities helps. I should know what I want. I should know what am I, so that I don't get influenced by some random person in my life. Correct? So please give some time and patience to understand the person and then get into the commitment, right? Most youth think that they are in love when they feel attached towards each other. So is it really love, or what is love? All these questions you need to ask before getting in the relationship, rather than getting into the relationship and then asking, is this what love is? So have your understanding, have your information straight before getting into anything. But they invariably fail to distinguish between infatuation and love. Is it just the infatuation, or am I into getting into love? So we need to have that difference together, right? Enough of those romantic relationships. If we keep talking about it, it goes on. So let's move on to other relationships, which includes peer relationships, social relationship with the virtual world, etc. So friendship, as we all know, is important in all stages of our lives. So it is not only like childhood, yeah, I had friends, now I don't. It's not, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes we need friends in almost all the times of our lives, even when we grow old. So when we grow old also, we need some people to talk about the older stuff, right? So we need to have friends during all the part of our life. Friends are people one can spend time with, talk to, play, share experiences, secrets, and problems together, right? Okay. So there is a question in the chat box saying, ma'am, do you believe in love at first sight and all? So it doesn't matter if I believe in it or not. And it is a very broad question. What do you mean by love is all the basic question comes up. So let's not get into the different aspect of our presentation. So we focus on the relationships, right? So if we just focus on the love, I can talk about it for hours, but we need to move on with the presentation. If we start talking about it, it will not end. So believe in yourself, believe in your own interest, believe in your own identity, and then try to answer all the questions for your own self, right? Friendship bring status, companionship, support, sense of acceptance, belongings, and identity. So about friendship, I don't need to tell you much. You know a lot about friendship by your own experiences. So how to maintain friendship is what I can say through communication, listening. Sometimes what happens, we ignore the person and we don't listen to them. So listening is important. Learn to tolerate, accept the limitations, being non-judgmental about each other, honesty and genuineness, realistic expectations, self-regulation, and do not avoid whatever it is, even if it's a call, just pick up and say that I'll call later or something like that. So just don't avoid it altogether, right? There will be a lot of times where you get peer pressure among your own self. So the desire to be accepted by the strongest motivating force, right? So we need to know where the pressure is coming from. We need to have our own identity so that we can move forward without any hurdles or fights. So since I have reached almost 12, I need to start with the next psychological first aid as well. So I will a little bit faster and move towards the next presentation so that I can wind it up at the right time. So virtual relationship. Please be aware that virtual relationship is a thing, and a lot of people through chats, through video calls, through calls, they connect virtually, but don't get into an assumption that virtual relationship is the ultimate thing, right? So before getting into some spam or some unrelated activities, so you need to be aware that what you are doing and with whom you are involved. So be very, very careful with the virtual relationships. So there is an activity. If you have a rubber band around you, so please pick it up. I'll just show you how to do the activity. If you don't have a rubber band right now, so it's okay, no problem at all. You can do this activity later as well. So I'll just show you how to go about this. You just need a rubber band, and think that there are two people. Okay, this is you, and this is your friend or significant other, parents, or whoever it may be, right? So you need to hold it like that. This is the relationship you have, correct? So you need to keep dragging the rubber band as tight as possible. After a certain point, what happens? What do you think happens after a certain point? If you keep dragging the rubber band, can you please put it in the chat box or unmute yourself and talk about it? That is also fine. So let me explain it to you again. So this is you, and this is significant other, and this is the relationship that you have, right? So if you keep dragging the rubber band, what happens to the rubber band? It will cut or hurt each other. Thank you. So it gets cut. Very good. So if it's you or if it's your significant other, if we keep move away from each other, somehow the rubber band cuts or the relationship gets cut, right? So in the same way, if you come closer and closer and closer, and if you just be on each other all the time, what happens to the rubber band? So if you're this much close, okay, what is happening to the rubber band? Yes, thank you. I got it. I got a lot of responses. It gets cut. Thank you. So if you drag it, it gets cut, right? So if you move it towards and both of you are continuously on each other and following each other everywhere, we are just not able to live without each other. So you're just be in the same space all the time. So what happens to the rubber band? Will it be in the same relationship? Okay, it will be in the same relationship or anything else? The rubber band becomes loose, right? It may fall down as well, right? So we need to understand that when you both are in a relationship, as much as you go loses its elasticity, very good. As much as you go away from each other, the relationship may get cut. Or if you just be with each other all the time, it loses its elasticity, right? So it is just a rubber band. It's just nothing else. There is nothing to explore anymore. So you need to be always aware that a rubber band needs its elasticity, correct? It needs to have its elastic. It should be used somehow. Otherwise, adu ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸೇಮ್ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಸಿಟಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಯೂಸ್ಲೆಸ್ ಆಗೋಗುತ್ತೆ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟೂ ನಿಯರ್ ಟು ಈಚ್ ಅದರ್. So give your own space. You also have your own space. Let them also have their own space, but be with each other through a bond, right? Don't go away from each other. It might get cut or it might just break one day. Don't be too close. It loses its elasticity. So just balance between the both. Thank you, Gargi. Balancing is needed in relationship, and that is boundaries. You should know your boundary. He or she should know her boundary, and then the relationship sustains with its elasticity. It will be fun to work with around, right? So always know that when you come to a relationship, if the person is feeling very avoiding you or something like that, somewhere the rubber band is going to break. Or if you're getting too much irritated by the person, remember that the rubber band is losing its elasticity. Somehow
ಹಂಗಲ್ಲೋ ನಾನು
you have
ಹೋಗಿ
to
ಬರ್ಬೇಕು
balance
ನೀವೇನ
between
ನನಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗವಲ್ತ.
So Amresh, why can you
ನಾಷ್ಟ
please
ಕೊಡ್ರು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ.
unmute? Mute yourself. Yes, thank you. So that's how I would like to finish the relationship presentation. There are a lot to talk about. So if I wish I had more time, it'll go on forever. But to end the relationship presentation, I would like to say that mistake is a single page in a part of life, but relationship is a book of dictionary. So do not lose a full book for a single page, right? Mistakes happen from a lot of people, from us also. So sometimes we need to just accept that yes, the mistake has happened and give one more chance. Mistakes happen again and again and again. Then do we need to have that relationship is what we need to think about, right? So be aware of that and move forward with your relationship. So I'll take a quick break of 2 minutes, right? Let's take a quick break of 2 minutes and I'll be here only. We'll come back after 2 minutes. So we'll continue with the psychological first aid and know what exactly psychological first aid is, right? So thank you so much for being with me for relationship PPTs, relationship session. Now, after 2 minutes of time, 2 minutes of quick break, we will move on to the psychological first aid, right? So yes, thank you. After 2 minutes, I'll see you back. In this 2 minutes, I'll just keep moving the relationship slide. So if you want to read out something, so you can keep reading out if nobody wants to take a break. If someone wants to take a break, you can take a break and come back. Okay. Welcome back. So let's begin with our psychological first aid session. So, is there any doubt or something? You can leave it in the chat box. I shall answer your question at the end of the session. Okay, right. So before starting the psychological first aid, so be active on the chat box again. So because I'm going to ask you a question. So if you see someone has someone is physically hurt or met with an accident on the road or has fallen down, has fainted or something like that, what do you do? What do you do first? So let me repeat the question. So if you see a person fainting, or if you see a person falling down, is met with an accident, so what do? Help, correct? So in what way? How do you help that person? Give a glass of water, okay. Anything else? Making them feel comfortable, okay. Okay, right. Thank you for the response. So when we see a person suffering from a cardiac arrest or a snake bite or any kind of physical injuries or illness, or for that matter, fainting or met with an accident, we may have some awareness about what to do as a basic first aid, right? So we'll call an ambulance at least. So we call someone who knows about it, some doctor, and ask them immediately what needs to be done, so that until the person reaches hospital, we can hand it over to the hospital. So we know a basic thing of what to do when a person falls or faints or something like that, give a water at least, something like that. But are we skilled enough to provide the same when we see a person extremely anxious or tensed, sad, or depressed, right? Often the response is to ask the persons to snap out of it or tell him or her that things will get better. So if I see my friend getting anxious altogether for an exam, it's like ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಂಗೆ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಡೋಂಟ್ ವರಿ, ನಿಂಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು. So we just console that person saying that, or it will get better next time ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. So we keep just reassuring the person saying ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಡು, ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಡು ಅಂತ. We just kind of handle that particular situation and then move on with it, right? Such emotional states, especially if severe and immediate, are signs of a mental health crisis. So and warrant attention and basic intervention, which may be referred to as providing immediate care for psychological and emotional events and emergencies. So ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಯಾರು ಆಂಕ್ಷಿಯಸ್ ಆದ್ರು, ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಯಾರಿಗೋ ತಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಡುಕ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ, ಹೆದರಿಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, so we need to make sure to calm that person down. At that particular time, that person may not be ready to calm down. So we need to make sure that we provide the immediate care for them to at least be with that situation. That's what we call it as psychological first aid, training as a psychological first aid and the healthy. A person who provides such care is referred to as a mental health first aider or immediate care provider. Okay. So ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಬಿದ್ರೆ ಎದುರಿಸಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ನ ಕೊಡಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೊ ಆತರ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕ್ರೈಸಿಸ್ ಆದಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಇಮೋಷನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದಾಗ, that might lead to a anxiety disorder or a depression altogether. So we need to be very careful in identifying those factors as well, especially in this current generation. Yakandre a lot of people are working online or studying online. They are not getting to meet a lot of people. ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓಪನ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಗೀತು ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ people will start getting to go out, and a lot of people might not be comfortable with that because 2 years they haven't been talked to so many people, they haven't met some people. It will be difficult for them to immediately go and talk to them and say hello and make friendship. They might feel very hesitant, very anxious about it also. So we need to make sure that we understand it and be aware of it at least. Okay. Why shy in taking immediate care? Myth and conception about mental illness. Ivaga, if you hear the hospital name Nimhans only, a lot of people start laughing about it. So Nimhans Bogitya, did you go to Nimhans? Are you coming from Nimhans? Are you from Nimhans? So when these questions come up, we tend to laugh about it. It's a joke for us because Nimhans is a widely known mental health institute. So rather than calling it mental health, a lot of people call it as asylum, right? Or mental galu irtare. So this is the language that we use when we talk about Nimhans. So a lot of myths and misconception about mental illness is associated. That's why people are not very much open in seeking the immediate care. Prevent people from talking about any mental health issues they may be experiencing. Yaro obro, if they come to you and share that, you know what, I'm not feeling good about myself, I'm not feeling myself, or I'm feeling very sad these days. So ಏನilla bidu ಒಂದೆರಡು ದಿನ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. So if we keep postponing it or if we keep ignoring it, then that might develop into a severe disorder. So we need to be aware of those particular signs and symptoms of a person so that we can provide them immediate care. Delay in seeking professional help, and many individuals continue to suffer silently. A lot of individuals wouldn't know what is happening with them and they keep suffering like that for entire life. That shouldn't happen. Issues in coping with day-to-day problems. What happens in the beginning, it might sound like yeah it's a silly thing, it goes on or moves on, but that silly thing only starts affecting our day-to-day life. It might affect our studies, it might affect our career, jobs, all the other things in our life, and it might get into a bigger thing. Manifest as various negative emotional states like anger, irritability, fear, to name a few. So a lot of people suddenly get angry. A lot of people keep getting angry for every reason. So that's not a good sign of having a good mental health. So we need to be aware of it. It can be due to critical stages of life cycles such as childhood, adolescent, and old age. Sometimes what happens in childhood, if you have been abused a lot, then a lot of thoughts and emotions keep repressing, and then one day we might just explode like a bomb. So we need to be aware that what happens in childhood, what happens in the adolescence, what are you going through, so that we can assess that person fine. So what are these stressors? So let's see, right? Stressors leading to mental health crisis. So in children, you might have children at home, so you need to be aware of their behavior as well, right? So in term, what happens? They will affect you. They will affect your parents. They will affect the entire home altogether. So you need to be aware of it. That's why this session is particularly for you to be aware of these particular signs so that you can help them at the right time. I am not saying after this session you will be a mental health professional. You are not going to be a mental health professional, but you will be able to identify these people and refer them to a mental health hospitals. Okay. So in children, what are the stressors? What causes them the mental health crisis? Maybe because separation from parents, parental disharmony. If there's too much fight at home, children may find it very difficult. Child abuse, bullying, peer pressure, sibling rivalry in the sense, if there is a sibling at your home, old one, young one, if parents are giving more attention to the other sibling, you might start hating your akka or anna, tamma, tangi. So you start having a hate kind of a relationship towards them. That also might cause to mental health crisis. Difficulty faced with online classes, physical illness, death of parents or loved one. So all these things can cause children a mental health crisis. So let's see what are the stressors in adolescent. Identity crisis. What am I? What I want to be? What I have to be? What do I study? What is my favorite thing? What is my what do I like the most? So having very difficulty in understanding what am I lead to identity crisis. So that might lead to a mental health crisis as well. Physical and sexual abuse, menarche, body image issues. Am I fat or am I very thin? I am not very good looking. So all these body image issues might lead to mental health crisis, relationship failure, substance abuse, technology addiction. A lot of mobile phone addiction might lead to mental health crisis, postponement or cancellation of exams and study abroad plans. So all these things, because especially because of the COVID, all these things also might affect our mental health. Difficulty to cope with online classes. If you are not able to concentrate there also, that also might start stressing you more, leading to mental health crisis. I'm not saying you have to identify these signs in others only. Identify these signs and stressors in yourself also. If you are also going through something like this, kindly contact us. Okay. So in adults, what are the stressors leading to mental health crisis in adults? Loss of job. So due to the COVID situation or due to inefficiency, whatever it may be, so loss of job might lead to a mental health crisis, loss of a loved one, workplace stress, of course, marital issues or divorce, financial problems, chronic illness, pregnancy, substance use. So all these things might affect mental health crisis. So in elderly or older people, how does that affect? Because this is important, because at your place also there will be people elderly who stays with you who might be going through mental health crisis. So you should be aware of it. So retirement might cause a mental health crisis, worsening of physical health condition, lack of familial and social support. Always someone in the family keeps ignoring them. That also might cause mental health crisis. Financial issues, death of a spouse, dependency on their children or on their grandchildren. So that also might cause mental health crisis. See, in elderly, you have to think that for so many years, for 60 years, They have lived their life so independently, and all of a sudden they have to be dependent on some other person or be idle at home. So extreme changes in the condition, environmental condition might cause mental health crisis. So you need to be aware of that. Fear of contracting COVID-19 to them or loved ones, concerns of separation from family members. So what if in case they'll send me to a elderly home or anath ashrama, wherever, if they send it to them, send them to that particular places, what happens to me? So even that particular thought might lead to a mental health crisis. So we should be very aware of that as well. The special situations during COVID-19 include frontline workers. They also might get stressors like risk of exposure, moral dilemmas, rapidly evolving practice environment, extra working hours, increased workload, separation or isolation. All these things will affect the frontline workers as well. It may be doctors, police. So all these things might cause them also mental health crisis. It's not just the any other people apart from us. It's us as well. Even the doctors, even the psychologists, even the policemen might get mental health crisis. So you need to be aware of it. So pregnant women, of course, fear of baby contracting illness, concerned about visiting hospitals, all these also will be affecting them. Person suspected or recovered from COVID-19. So the stigma associated with COVID-19, ayo on COVID patient ante, on positive ante. So the stigma might itself make them feel like a stressor and lead to a mental health crisis. So we need to be very aware of how we are talking to each other, how we are talking to the person who has contracted the COVID-19. So who can provide immediate care? It is not only a psychologist or a mental health professional who can provide immediate care. Of course, there should be a training, an extensive training that you have to go through. But anyone who is really want to help others, who really cares for others, can provide immediate health care. That includes relatives, family members, neighbors, teachers, community members, even you guys, emergency medical teams, mental health professionals, counselors, government officer, volunteers. So all these people can provide immediate care. You need to just identify these symptoms and signs in the following symptoms. I'll tell you how what are the symptoms. So you need to identify them and make sure that you refer that particular person to a particular professional. For now, if you are more interested in providing the immediate care, of course, you can take a particular training in it, and then you can practice your immediate care always, right? Who may benefit from immediate care? Children and adolescents separated from their caregivers, pregnant or nursing women, elderly population, people with disabilities and chronic health condition, people at risk of discrimination, and COVID-19 survivors and their families. So make sure, like always remember, you can't give immediate care to a person already been diagnosed with depression, right? Or already been diagnosed with a severe mental health condition. You can't go to them and say that I'll give you immediate care. No, immediate care is required for people who at that one particular time are really anxious and a little bit sad that they are not able to perform well, right? So perform their day-to-day activities well. So you can provide the immediate care to them. So what is the role of immediate care training? To overcome difficulty in identifying a person who is undergoing a mental health crisis. So after the training program, what happens to a particular immediate care provider is they overcome the difficulty in identifying a person undergoing a mental health crisis. For example, you will, after the training program, you will be able to identify who needs immediate care and who is fine and can handle on their own, to overcome feeling of helplessness in providing aid. That means sometimes what happens, you see a lot of people, just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Right. Session everything. Okay. Right. So to overcome feeling of helplessness in providing aid, that means a lot of people around you might be feeling anxious. Your friend, for example, you can take a friend is feeling very anxious and very helpless, right? So you can feel that, oh shit, she is feeling something and I'm not able to do anything to her. So you might feel such a way. So after the immediate care training program, what you can be able to feel is you can overcome that one particular feeling, and you can actually help that one particular person who is going through all the anxiety and sadness to overcome lack of awareness about mental health problems. So you will be made aware about the mental health problems that are there in the society. So you will be knowing what exactly to address to. So to prevent delay in recognition and treatment of the problem. So once you immediately start to identify the signs and symptoms, you can always refer them to the psychiatrist or psychologist so that you can treat them early. So now, identifying the signs of need for immediate care. So you need to be focusing on this particular slide. So if you want to provide psychological first aid, so you need to be identifying these signs in people around you. So what are the signs? Staying aloof or social withdrawal, right? Staying aloof meaning ಒಬ್ರೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. They try to be alone, right? They try to be alone, and they don't respond to any emotions, right? So if there's a happy situation will be going on, and they're like, so what do I do? So that aloof expression without any care towards what is happening around you, right? If someone is feeling sad, if someone has failed in exam, some people do not understand what to exactly tell to them, or they just stand there and look at them crying. So they don't respond to that particular people. So people who are aloof. So you need to identify that one particular sign. Social withdrawal. They don't come to any parties. They don't come out hanging out with you guys. They prefer to be alone. So these are the signs that you need to look for to provide the immediate care. Loss of appetite or overeating. All of a sudden, a person starts eating a lot of junk food, or a lot of anything that is in front of them. So they keep eating a lot. So overeating can be a sign of mental, not illness as such. It might lead to a mental illness, right? So overeating or loss of appetite, not eating at all. So that also can be a sign of people who need immediate care. Substance use, of course. Sleep disturbance, I'm not able to sleep, or I'm oversleeping, can also be a symptom of needing immediate care. Irritability, anger outburst, all of a sudden getting angry for nothing. So that can also be a sign. Lack of interest in everything that they do. Before they used to dance, sing, and they used to participate in a lot of programs, but now they are not interested in anything, not even studies. Loneliness and suicidal thoughts or death wishes. I wish I am dead, or I wish I was never born, or I want to commit suicide, I don't want to live anymore. So these are the thoughts which require immediate care. So please remember that sometimes some people might be hungry, right? They start eating a lot, and then you can't just generalize it saying, oh, he is eating a lot and I should take him to a psychologist. It's not like that. Keep looking for 2 or 3 symptoms from the signs that I have mentioned here. If you see a person experiencing 2 or 3 from the symptoms or signs that I have listed, then you can get him to her to a immediate care, right? So including all this, there are more, like crying spells, crying all the time, anxious or fearful, agitated, aggressive behavior, poor hygiene or self-care, not caring about their own self, lack of confidence, hopelessness in life, self-harm, social media status. So that also might affect a lot of people nowadays, which might lead to a mental illness. So you need to be aware of these signs to take care of that particular person. If you can't take care of that person, please refer them to a psychologist for immediate care. Of course, if you are not able to do it, your Spandana is with you. It's a program, it's a youth mental health promotion program using a public health approach. Trained youth named Yuva Parivartakas work as guidance providers within these US Spandana Kendras. Guidance centers named US Spandana Kendras are set up in every district stadium to handle any youth issues. For more information about US Spandana program, and if any of you are going through these symptoms, please contact us. This is the toll-free number that we have, 155265. You can always call this number and seek support, right? We're also on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram page, Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel. And then, of course, there is a website related to our US Spandana program. You can always visit the website and seek information. If you have any doubts, you can put it in the chat box, or you can write to us there also. We will respond to you. If you need any help in any way, US Spandana will be there to provide the immediate care, right? So if you find people who are experiencing those symptoms that I've listed also, if you are noting down those people also, you can refer them to our US Spandana. These US Spandana Kendras are located in every district stadium. That means in Bangalore, it is being located in Kanthirava Stadium. So you can always visit our US Spandana Kendra also, right? So that's all for today. That's all about psychological first aid and our initiative in providing the immediate care. So if you have any doubts, you may ask. So I shall end the presentation by saying thank you so much for being patient. I know this has been a very intense and core lecturing mode kind of a session, but the topics were like that. If a lot of two different topics merged together, back to such intense topics, I had to give more information to you rather than taking out from you. So that's all for today. So thank you so much. Any doubts, you can put it in the chat box. I will try to answer those. If not, then I definitely get back to you, right? Any doubts, you can ask me on the chat box, or unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, so if there are no doubts, so yes, thank you so much for attending the program. Yes, Guru, shall we end the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Please,
So I would.
Shobita, you can take over.
Yeah, so I would like to thank Swati ma'am for her valuable time and the knowledge that she would give to us. And we got to know a good knowledge on all the various types of relationships in life, and the better understanding that how to manage these relationships as well. And I would like to even thank the audience for being so kind with the patients throughout the session. Thank you for all joining the sessions. Have a great day. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great day.